All right, so the different types of software are you have operating system software, which is just it's pretty much a bunch of software, a collection of software that is grouped together and work together really well in helping you manage and use your hardware. That's like the physical components of your computer. And it also helps you manage your or use your storage so you can save files and use them and find them, and also save programs and applications so that you can like run the internet browser or whatever. So the operating system kind of allows you to get the full potential out of your hardware, out of your computer, and it's kind of like something that manages all the other programs you have on your computer. System software manages hardware function and behavior, and it helps the hardware talk with other hardware. So you'll have system software in something like a internet router or Wi-Fi router where it's helping it talk to your phone, right? So you can have Wi-Fi, and it also manages the function. System software, usually the user doesn't really interact with it, and it's really essential and important for the hardware's functionality and behavior and stuff like that. Application software is usually what the user interacts with. It kind of helps you do different things with your hardware, with your computer. Pretty cool. So if you look at a few of these, you have device drivers software. Now, usually you don't really interact with this, right? So this might actually go under the the system software. So this might actually go under the system software because you don't really interact with it, and it has to do with managing your hardware. So what the device drivers are, when you plug in a keyboard or a mouse that's new and your computer doesn't really recognize it, it will need software so that it can understand what this device is and know how to use it appropriately, right? And this is also pretty operating system specific. So a person would have to write software so that your Mac or your Windows can know how to use this device and what it's capable of, what the device is capable of, right? That kind of controls your hardware. Then you have application software, which is usually stuff people see, like I said, and this is stuff like your utility software. This is like WinRAR, Norton Antivirus, Windows File Explorer. This is stuff that helps you manage your computer, optimize your computer, protect your computer, and it's kind of just tools that help you do different things on your computer. So then you have word processor software, which just pretty much helps you write text, documents, stuff like that. That's your Microsoft Word, Apple Pages, Google Docs, stuff like that. These can also be web applications, internet software, websites, right? Database software, Microsoft Access, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and then you have SQL Server, right? And what's a database? A database is just pretty much software that helps you save data and information, and it does it in a very optimized way, right? So instead of storing a 100 million users in an Excel file where Excel is going to be slow and not know how to handle all that data and information, and it's also trying to like show you it in a visual way, which also takes a lot of resources and computer power. Database software is more of a technical software which is super optimized to save a lot of data, and you kind of have to know what you're doing because it's not really user friendly, right? And usually people build software on top of this so that it's easier to see the data and they don't have to get into the nitty gritty of knowing everything about a database and learning SQL queries and all this stuff. Then you have web browser software. That's your Google Chrome, your Safari, your Firefox. This is software that helps you access the internet, right? The internet is just a bunch of computers connected together. They're communicating with each other and they're giving each other, resources and data and websites and stuff like that. So your web browser helps you access the internet, and it also has a bunch of other features, like it helps you build websites, it helps you download resources from websites, and also does a bunch of other stuff. Nowadays our web browsers are packed with all kind of features that it's kind of mind-boggling. Then you also have multimedia software. This is your software that's going to help you make media or consume media, kind of like videos and photos. So you have Photoshop, right, for your photos. You might have Adobe Premiere for your video editing. And you also have like stuff like VLC Media Player that helps you watch videos, stuff like that. Now, there's different types of software when it comes to like who has access to it, if it's free or not. You hear terms like firmware software. This is software that is permanently sitting on some type of storage on the device, and it doesn't really change or update or anything like that, and it's not really interact with by a user, right? So I typed in a permanent software, which is embedded in the system's read-only memory. And you might ask, what's memory? Memory is just storage that is in a computer, and usually it's for quick access, right? So it's not as slow as your hard drive, or your CD or whatever. It's just storage, pretty much, to make it simple, right? But this type of storage is read only. It's not really optimized for writing the data to the storage, right? Putting data in the storage, but is optimized for reading the data out of the storage, right? So you usually put some type of software on it and leave it, and it doesn't really change, and you're not really putting different software on it. You usually put it once and leave it, and you read from it a lot, right? It's optimized for reading that software from that memory, and then that software doesn't really change, right? That firmware software doesn't really change. It's pretty stable, and it's really essential for the hardware in its functionality and behavior. So it's kind of like device drivers. Then you have freeware software. Freeware software is like free software, but you can't share it or change it because they have copyright stuff connected to it. And sometimes it has limited features or ads. So companies usually do this for promotion or whatever. And it's not really like, it's free, but it has strings attached, right? Truly free software is going to be your open source software, and I'll get into that in a minute. Shareware Software, I never even heard of this until I read the article. I'll link the article down in the description. Give it a read. This is where I got a lot of the information. Shareware Software is like a free trial with a time limit. Now, I knew about the whole free trial software, but I didn't know it was called shareware, right? Apparently it's called shareware. Yeah, this is usually a software with a free trial with a time limit, right? And I hate these type of softwares. I always try to find a way to like turn the time limit off or whatever. It's annoying. Usually I'm like, you either give me the freeware software and take away some of the features, or just give me it free. Don't put no stupid time limit on it, And then you have the open software, the open source software. This is where they give you the source code. They give you the code, the application code, so that you can modify it, change it, add features to it. And it's 100% free. You can do whatever you want with it. There's always different types of open source software. So that's a whole nother research in and of itself. But just know that open source software is usually the truly free software, right? That's pretty much a lot of the different types of software, and hopefully all that makes sense and you kind of have a better idea of the different type of software that's out there and the different type of software you can write. I did want to add another thing. Usually system software, device driver software, stuff like that is really low level, really complicated, and it takes programming languages that are very like cryptic, like C++ and stuff like that. They do have newer languages that are not as cryptic, and it helps you write this low level type stuff that's really working with the hardware, right? But yeah, all that to say, there's different types of software you can make, and we're going to be focusing on web application software that runs on the internet. But yeah, just know there's a lot of things you can do with software.